Good evening, all. I went ahead and did option 2. It was, why is it important for teachers to incorporate assignments that require students to communicate, collaborate, think critically, and create as part of their educational experience? And I'm going to focus mine in more of a middle school, high school level, maybe even college, but it's going to be the English classroom because that's what I want to teach. So I started with communicate, and I pulled this quote from the NEA website. It is expressing thoughts clearly, crisply, articulating opinions, and communicating coherent instructions and motivating others through powerful speech. These skills have always been valued in the workplace and public life. And I commented on that and said, with skills like this being valued in the workplace and public life, it is vital to teach it in the classroom, or else the students may never have another chance to develop those skills. And in the classroom, communication can be integrated by use of group work, doing presentations, verbal conversation on topics. I know that's a big thing in English. You take a text that you're reading and you analyze it and you have a conversation about it and you even relate it to your own life, and students tend to memorize that more, or remember it more, if they can relate it to themselves. I pulled from EduTopia was the other website we needed to research in, and I found that communication can be done through greeting students at the door with a smile, because it sets a positive tone for you and your students, and it's actually proved that there will be less behavioral problems, and the class itself that day will be more successful. Moving into collaboration, I pulled another quote from NEA. The collaboration is essential in our classrooms because it is inherent in the nature of how work is accomplished in our civic and workforce lives. 50 years ago, much work was accomplished by individuals working alone, but not today. Much of all work is accomplished in teams, and in many cases, global teams. So that is a case there's been a shift from doing things independently and achieving things independently to, in real life, people are collaborating more and working together to be successful, and that should also be integrated into the classroom. So you can do this also with group work. Writing assignments, presentations, acting out scenes is a fun thing to do when you're studying plays in the English classroom. Take out your class, the textbook that we have. I have it here. This one for the class. It says that examples of presentations are PowerPoints, Google Slides, and Prezi, and actual presentation rules are given to us, and there was 5 of them, and I liked 4 of them. There's one that I'm going to cut, and I'll tell you what it is in a minute. But the first one is presentation should always have images, which is important. That goes into creativity as well. Number 2, text should always be sparse, as in small. And verbal should be extensive and reflective. So you should never just read off of the PowerPoint. You should always have a short amount, maybe even, I've seen people just put pictures, so that you can prove that you know the content when you're teaching it. Or if a student is presenting it to you, you'll know that they know the content if they're able to speak on it and not just read it off of a slide. Number 3 is use audio advancement. That's the one I didn't like. I think as far as I read that, it was, it read it for you and it kept students from rambling, and it helped with time limits, and I did not like that. I think the students need to do the talking. So I would cut that one. That's your own opinion. And number 4 was maximum of 2 fonts. You don't want to be too distractive. You don't want to use cursive. And number 5 was easy to read. Your text should be light if the background's dark and dark if the background's light, just to make it easy to read, and so the student doesn't have to focus and trying to figure out what's on the slide, or if it's too messy or too much is on it, you want it to be very simple. Okay, the next one is think critically. I used NEA. Critical thinking has long been a valued skill in society. Today, every student, not just the academically advanced, needs it. While critically thinking and problem solving used to be the domain of gifted students, now it is a critical domain for every student. And that is very true. They have increased the rigor for every student, even if you're in special education. In the classroom, you can do this through essays, conversation, activities that promote quick but critical thinking, mostly constructive response. An example activity in the English classroom would be breaking down and analyzing a poem. And lastly, create is, I pulled a quote from NEA again. Author Daniel Pink remarked, "The future belongs to a very different kind of person with a very different kind of mind. Creators and empathizers, pattern recognizers, and meaning makers. These people will now reap society's richest rewards and share its greatest joys." And the Tech Out Your Classroom textbook recommends ensuring many windows for creativity. An example would be if you're going to engage students in a storytelling project, the number one thing you should do is give them options. So always give them options, always allow them to express themselves and be creative, because every person is unique and every person is going to want to be involved if they're able to relate it to their own hobbies and interests. So that concludes my presentation. Thank you.